My guess is that, let's just pretend that the West has all the gold they say they do. There's just giant IOU stickers on top of the bars. I don't know. It's annoying to me that they would be anything less than transparent, and I think it signals to the world that again, more, it's just it lacks trust. And then you look at the Chinese, and it's the opposite. But in a world that is moving in this direction, the last thing you would ever want to do is tell people how much you have and how much you're accumulating, as it would the trade would be crowded out. Everyone would run to accumulate it. So I guess what I'm really getting at is that I truly believe China has way more than anyone in the world, far more than we do, and it would be in their best interest to keep that close to the vest.
Gold's value comes from its genuine scarcity. According to the US Geological Survey, only about 244,000 metric tons of gold exist. Unlike currencies, governments can't simply produce more gold. Rising global gold demand, with central banks increasing their reserves, shapes the dynamics of the gold market. The Shanghai Gold Exchange data indicates substantial demand for physical gold, driven by market volatility and international developments. A prominent figure in the financial services industry, AndySchectman, raised concerns about the lack of transparency in US and Chinese gold reserves, noting the US hasn't audited Fort Knox since 1950. Turning to China, Andy emphasizes significant discrepancies in the reported gold holdings. He questions China's gold holdings, noting they claim just 1,200 metric tons for years, despite being the world's largest gold producer and importer. Andy suggests China's gold reserves could total 38,000 metric tons, which is 5 times the US's 8,000 metric tons, making China the largest global gold holder. The report reveals that China's central bank, the PBOC, covertly purchased approximately 60 tons of gold in September alone. This has been going on since May 2024, with evidence of tonnage being offloaded from London as far back as May of this year. Based on his observation, Andy explains that China bypasses reporting requirements by acquiring gold through intermediaries like the PLA or proxy banks and buying lower purity gold. These practices allow China to refine and stockpile gold without fully disclosing its holdings to the IMF. While the PBOC reported no additional purchases after April, Goldman's nowcast data estimates 50 tons of institutional purchases from China on the London OTC market in May. Now, we present the clips of AndySchectman's insights from his recent interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
It's suspicious that it hasn't been audited. The gold stock hasn't really been audited since the 50s. Ron Paul has floated bills over the years to audit Fort Knox, and they were turned down. Transparency is what creates trust and confidence. The lack of transparency creates suspicion. When we talk about China, my whole career, Jesse, people would say the numbers that they are telling us in terms of their gold holdings are crap, that they were stuck at around 1,200 metric tons for years and years, and they were never updated. They are the largest producer of gold in the world, i.e. that, they just found this huge stash. But they're the largest producer in the world, and they've been producing between 300 and 500 metric tons a year for years. That's not reflective of the numbers that they tell us, 23, 24, 2,500 metric tons. Now that's not right, not even remotely. Not only that, they're the largest producer and importer in the world. They have been flying around in interviews I've done with Sean Kuhn of Dolly Varden. They've been flying around the world buying doré and concentrate in both silver and gold from miners directly, disintermediating the commercial banks, disintermediating the market. They buy the concentrate and the doré, which are crudely refined bars, before they go to the refineries to be further refined, and bringing them home to China to further refine it. They're taking delivery off of the world's exchanges left and right. And then they tell the world that they've stopped buying gold for a few months, and everyone reacts like it's the craziest thing in the world. Yet they're lying about it because the import-export numbers tell a different story. Not to mention when they purchase gold through the People's Liberation Army. So the PBOC, when it purchases it directly, it's supposed to report it to the IMF. But if it's purchased by the PLA or a proxy bank, a commercial bank, or a sovereign wealth fund on behalf of the PBOC, none of these things are reported. If they purchase gold that is under the 999 purity. They don't have to report that either. So they buy the doré and the concentrate from the miners and bring it home and refine it themselves. They're the largest producer, accumulator of gold in the world. Alistair McLeod, 2 years ago, was saying he believed they had 38,000 metric tons, 5 times what we do, 18,000 by the people, 20 by the state. They've been telling their people for years to buy gold and incentivizing them to do so. So my guess is that, let's just pretend that the West has all the gold they say they do. There's just giant IOU stickers on top of the bars. Annoying to me that they would be anything less than transparent. And I think it signals to the world that, again, more, it's just, it lacks trust. And then you look at the Chinese and it's the opposite. I guess what I'm really getting at is that I truly believe China has way more than anyone in the world, far more than we do, and it would be in their best interest to keep that close to the vest. And by the same token, if you believe the guys at GATA, like I do, they would tell you that the majority of the gold that the West has claimed to have has been leased out, pledged out, sold to keep the prices down for years and years and years.
Regarding gold and silver, AndySchectman believes they will rise due to inflation, lower interest rates, a weaker dollar, and tariffs rather than geopolitical conflicts. Andy expects inflation to persist and intensify under policies like those of the Trump administration. According to reciprocal gold theory, as trust in fiat currencies diminishes, often due to excessive debt, inflation, or poor monetary policies, the value of gold tends to rise, making it a reciprocal measure of confidence in the financial system. Essentially, gold's worth is inversely related to the perceived strength of paper money. Shifting Federal Reserve policies have significantly impacted the gold market. While the likelihood of a December rate cut has dropped from 82.5% to 53%, the possibility of lower rates in 2024 continues to support gold prices. The value of gold remains strong, especially in comparison to other assets like gold certificates or physical holdings. In his assessment, Andy stresses the importance of owning physical assets, including gold, and notes the loss of privacy when converting cryptocurrencies into tangible goods. He expressed concern about growing tokenization and digitization, which he sees as a step toward a surveillance state. Let's get back to the interview.
Tokenizing everything. That's what I mean. This surveillance world where, it's everything is becoming on the ledger. That is disturbing to me. I do think that's one of the benefits that is not talked about enough. The old adage, you don't hold it, you don't own it. There's truth to that. And in a world that's becoming increasingly digital, I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said for having it in your own possession, being off the grid, owning things that only you know that you own physically. And I think that's kind of the misconception, if you will, about cryptocurrencies is that everyone thinks that you have such great anonymity. The off ramps will not allow that. When you come off the platform and move into tangibles, move into real items, sell it to buy other things, that loss of privacy is completely and totally gone. Now, I know that isn't what your question was, but I do think that I think that this is a trend, if you will, that we will see increase as more and more and more things become tokenized, get on a ledger, become something that erodes all of your privacy, and you end up being in a world where there is no privacy, there is no anonymity, everything is digitized, and everything is moving in this surveillance state type of world. And does it ultimately move to the issuance of a central bank digital currency? Certainly the Federal Reserve would like that. Is that what this is? Is it the slow acceptance of everything being digitized, everything being tokenized? It's kind of what it feels like to me. And, I guess I'll go into that era kicking and screaming, hanging on to things that are, I guess you could say still old school and off the ledger and in my own possession. But, look, if that's the only way you're going to own gold and silver, okay, fine, I get it. But to me, there is no substitute for owning it physically in your own possession that no one in the world knows that you own.
As 2025 approaches, investors are watching gold closely. Economic shifts, political changes, and global tensions could all impact its value in the coming months. and experts see compelling evidence for different scenarios ahead. Meanwhile, China's initiative is about securing more gold and laying the groundwork for a global revaluation of gold. What impact could China's true gold holdings have on the global gold market and the future of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to support our channel and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the next video.